In this video, we're going to be talking about getting the most out of Google Scholar. This is what we're going to be covering in this lesson: how you use Google Scholar for your essays, how to do backwards and forwards citation chaining, how to set up alerts in Google Scholar, and some links to further resources. Sometimes students ask if it's okay to use Google Scholar as a source to find articles to read for their essays, and generally the answer is yes. However, it's worth bearing in mind that the library provides access to far more research than is on Google Scholar through our databases. So what can we use Google Scholar for? Well, it can be used to do broad background research quickly on a particular topic. It's also useful for keeping track of a particular author, especially if they're currently working and publishing. One of the most useful things you can do is citation chaining, which is finding articles which have cited one another. We'll look at that in detail in a minute. Google Scholar does have its limitations. Google Scholar is not a database of every single article published in the world and is not comprehensive like the search engine Google. As I said earlier, it just doesn't have the same level of content that the library databases do. Google Scholar only has records that go back to around 1995, and many of the key texts you need to read are from before then. You will also find that not everything is available as a full text download. Google Scholar also doesn't support truncation like library databases do, so you're more limited in your search strategies. So what can we use it for? Well, one thing you can do on Google Scholar and in other databases is backward citation chaining. This is when you search for and find an article, then look at the references that that article has listed. Then you can look up those references to find more readings on your topic. Here's an example of how it works to search in Google Scholar. So here are the references of that article we downloaded. You can then search for these on Google Scholar or in the library databases. Click the PDF link to download the article. You can also do citation chaining in the opposite direction. Backwards chaining leads you to the past, and forwards chaining leads you to the future. You can use the functionality in Google Scholar to find an article, and then you can see a list of later articles which have referenced that one. Here's an example of what that looks like. You can also search within these results. You can limit your search results to only include results with a full text PDF attached by adding file type :PDF at the end of your search, like this. You can tell Google Scholar to just search within a certain website for results. And you can create alerts in Google Scholar to be sent to you by email. These alerts are linked to whatever your search term is, so you can make it very broad, very narrow, or about a specific person. So that's Google Scholar, a handy resource to be used in addition to library resources, not instead of them. But there are other freely available online scholarly resources you can use alongside library databases too, open access resources. What is open access research? Essentially, it's the same as the journal articles published in the databases, but they're free to read. The open access movement started to help share information with everyone and remove the paywall barrier to researchers, scholars, and students who can't afford to pay the tens or hundreds of thousands of euro to academic publishers every year. There are open access books and journals. Here are a few that are relevant to you. These are open access journals published in Ireland, mostly by Irish authors covering topics relevant to the Irish education system. This is a really great place to find good quality research. You can find the links to these journals on the library guide. You can also find Irish research in institutional repositories. An institutional repository is a database of everything published by the academics and students who study and work in a particular institution. We have one for Marino. It's held in Tara, which is the repository of Trinity College Dublin. You can also find dissertations in Tara, which you may want to read as you start your own. There's lots of other repositories there, including DCU and Mary Immaculate, both big education colleges, and Rian, which is a search engine specifically for open access repositories in Ireland. There are also international open access journals. Here are a few of the most relevant to you. If you want more advice on open access journals, please contact the library. For more help on this topic, please contact the library or check out our online guide where you can download the handout.